The knock came sharp, not nervous. He stood in the center of the room, holding a chipped mug of coffee gone cold. One knock, then silence. Not wind, not boots, just her. He opened the door without asking who. She didn't flinch. A girl stood barefoot in the dirt, arms tight around a folded dress, her other hand clutching a photo. Her face was hollow, not from hunger, from memory. Dust coated her collarbone. There was a blood speck at the edge of her shirt, half crusted. The porch light flickered. She didn't blink. "This cabin used to be my mama's," she said. He didn't answer. She looked past him into the room. The fireplace was low, the floor swept clean. On the table sat a cracked ashtray and one photo frame face down. He looked at the dress. It was too clean, folded tight, like it had been carried far. "I'm not here to sleep," she added. "Just wanted to see." "What's your name?" he asked. She handed him the photo instead. He stared. It was his wedding day, sunlit, blurry at the corners. A younger version of himself stood in a black suit. The bride beside him held a bouquet of dry wildflowers. Her eyes were soft, but it was the girl's face now, watching him through the doorway. Same bone shape, same brow line. He swallowed. "You look like her," he muttered. "I am her." He didn't step aside, didn't invite her in, but she walked past him anyway, not fast, like she belonged there. She set the dress on the couch, still folded, touched the mantel. The fireplace was always temperamental, she said. Mama said it coughed like a drunk preacher. "You from around here?" "I was born on this land." He didn't speak. She turned. "You don't recognize me. That's fine. You recognize her." He looked down at the photo again. His thumb smudged the corner. He set it on the table, face up. "She's been dead a long time," he said quietly. "I know." He pulled a chair from the table. Saturday. The girl didn't move toward him. "You left her," she said. His mouth opened, closed. "She waited 3 winters," she went on. "Keep saying you were just caught up in something. Said you'd come back. You didn't. Look, You don't remember, I know." The wind picked up outside. A thin whistle came through the windows. She stepped toward the back door. "I was born in that back room. Mama delivered me herself. There's still a stain on the floor if you shine light near the wall." He stood. "You're saying you lived here?" "I'm saying I was born here. She lived. She died. You forgot." "I didn't forget her." "Then why'd you never come back?" He didn't answer. She walked back to the table, picked up the photo, held it beside her face. "You see it now." He nodded once. "You got a name?" "Mercy." He stared at the dress on the couch. "Whose is that?" "Hers." She sat across from him, both elbows on the table like it was Sunday breakfast. "She used to hum when she peeled potatoes," she said. "Used to sit on the porch and comb her hair out at night. You kissed her under that sycamore tree." He looked out the window. The tree was gone, cut down 5 years ago after the rot set in. "She made cornbread," she said, eyes narrowing, "even when there was no corn, just flour and lard and prayers." "Stop." "She screamed your name when I was born." "Stop." "She carved your initials into the mantel." He turned and stared at the spot above the fire. Nothing there now, but the wood looked warped, like something had been sanded down rough. "I had a life," he said. "A different one." "You had her." That was enough. Silence. She stood. I walked to the door. I opened it. "I'm not staying," she said. He didn't move. I just needed to see it, to say it. "Why now?" "Because no one else remembers her. And I do." The wind pushed her hair back. Her shirt lifted slightly. He saw the edge of a scar near her ribs. "Where'd you come from?" he asked. She looked at him. "From her." The door closed behind her, but she didn't walk away. She sat on the porch steps, arms folded. He picked up the photo again, studied his younger self, the light in his eyes, the certainty. The girl's mother had been radiant, honest, untouched by what came after. He looked at the fire, threw in another log, then opened the door again. "You want coffee?" he asked. She turned. "You still make it strong." "Stronger." She followed him back inside, didn't smile, didn't speak. She sat. Same chair as before, same elbows. "Don't lie to me," she said. "I won't." "Don't say you didn't know." "I didn't know she had a daughter." "Now you do." He poured coffee. The mug shook slightly in his hand. He set it down between them. I buried her with my hands, she whispered, out behind the creek. He looked up. No stone, she added, just her name in my mouth, over and over. That's how I kept her alive. The fire cracked. She didn't flinch, and he didn't ask her to leave. He sat at the table, staring at the picture, his wedding. The smile on his face looked like it belonged to someone else, someone stupid, someone clean. She sipped the coffee slow, still sitting across from him, fingers wrapped around the mug like it held something holy. The fire cracked. He didn't move. "That's my mama," she said, nodding at the photo. "And you left her." He looked up, eyes dull. "I don't remember." She didn't blink. "You remember the creek behind the cabin?" He said nothing. "It bends right before it hits the old fence. She used to sit on the flat rock and wash clothes, even in winter. Said cold water made the lies come out faster. I haven't been back there in years." "You don't have to go back there," she said. "It's in your bones. You know it." He shook his head. "I don't." "The barn had a red X on the side. She painted it herself. Said it was to keep the vultures away." "I don't." "You slept with her under that roof," she cut in, quiet but firm. "On a night so cold she couldn't breathe unless you were holding her. You promised her something, and she believed it." The fire popped loud. "She had a scar," the girl said, her voice soft now. "Ran from her cheekbone to her ear. Got it breaking a window in the dark. Said she saw something moving outside and thought it was you. It wasn't." His throat worked, but no words came. "She said you'd come back for her, that your silence was just survival, that you weren't like the rest." He stood, paced toward the window, hands on the sill. "I left that life behind," he said. "No," she said. "You buried it. Same thing you did to her." He turned around. "I didn't know about you." She stared at him like that was worse. "You think she asked for help?" she said. "You think she had time to beg? They came fast, burned the birth record, took her name out of the papers, made sure no one said a word about the cabin or the girl she raised in the woods." He swallowed. "Who's they?" "Same men who run this town now." "I don't believe you." "You don't remember." He sat back down, slowly. "She used to sing to me," the girl said. "Told me my father had strong hands and a quiet voice. That he used to read scripture but didn't believe it. Said he loved the porch swing, hated whiskey, and once fixed a broken dresser just to make her smile." He looked up. "I fixed that dresser. The leg was hollow. We kept letters inside." "I've seen them," she said. "I read every word. You said you'd build her a house. Said her laugh made you forget the war. Said the baby would have your name." The fire hissed. The room felt colder than it should. "She died thinking you got taken," she said. "But you didn't, did you? You just got tired." He covered his face. "She told me not to come back. Said she'd be fine. Said the sheriff." "She lied. She thought she was protecting you." He didn't look up. "I buried her," the girl said, voice low now. "Behind the sycamore, same place you first kissed her." He stared at her, slowly sat up straighter. "You're sure?" "I'm the only one who remembers. You were her last hope, and you let her rot." He shook his head. "I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know." "Don't swear to him," she said, standing. "He didn't do a damn thing either." He stood too. "Then why are you here?" "To make you remember." He looked toward the door. She followed his eyes. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. "Not until you say her name." He looked down at the photo again, traced her smile with a fingertip. His voice cracked. "Lenora." "That's right." He kept staring. "She made me promise," the girl said. "If I ever found you, I'd bring the dress and the photo, and I'd ask if you still heard her voice." He closed his eyes. The fire popped again. A log broke in half. "She's the reason I built this place," he said. "Not the land, not the price. Her." "Then say it." "I loved her." She nodded once. He walked to the mantel, reached behind the clock, pulled something out, a metal ring, faded, bent at one edge. "She gave it back the night I left," he said. "I kept it anyway." "She kept the dress," the girl said. "And my name." He looked at her. "Mercy." She nodded again. No smile, just the confirmation of truth. He looked back at the photo. "I remember the barn," he said, "and the red X." She said you'd remember when it mattered. "It matters now." She sat again, slowly. So did he. For the first time, there was silence between them that didn't feel hollow. He told her to get in the truck. She didn't ask where they were going, just folded the dress again, tucked the photo back into her coat, and slid onto the cracked passenger seat like she'd ridden in it before. "I just want the truth," he said. "You sure? I need to hear it from someone else." She didn't reply, just looked out the window as the road narrowed and the dust kicked up behind them. The town hadn't changed, still 3 blocks wide, still had the same hand-painted hardware sign and that broken bell above the diner door that never rang loud enough to matter. He parked beside the post office, said they'd start there. Inside, the old widow behind the desk froze when she saw the girl. Not her eyes, her hands. They trembled so slightly the letters fell out of her grip and onto the floor. "You need something?" the widow asked. "This is Mercy," he said. "Lenora's daughter." The widow's mouth moved, but nothing came out. "You remember Lenora." "I remember what I was told to forget," she whispered. The girl stepped forward. "Did my mama ever send anything from here?" The widow blinked. I looked toward the back room. "She came in once," she said. "Had a letter in her hand. Said it had to go out that night. I asked who it was for. She just stared at me. I told her to drop it in the box. And it never left." The sheriff came the next morning, took the whole outbound tray, said it was evidence. The man turned. I walked out. The girl followed without a word. They went to the grocery next. The boy behind the counter, no older than 20, watched the girl too long, not in hunger, in recognition. He dropped a can, fumbled to pick it up. "You all right?" the man asked. The boy nodded fast. "Just, I've seen her before." "Where?" "There's a photo in the back, black and white, up by the shelves. Has her mama in it, holding her." "Show me." The boy hesitated, then pointed toward the storage room. The man walked back, found the photo half tucked behind a bottle of cleaner. It was faded, curled at the edges, but there she was. Lenora, younger than he remembered, holding a baby with wide eyes and a full head of hair. "Why's this back here?" "No one ever moves it," the boy said. "Been there since before I started. Every time I tried to throw it out, the lights flickered." The girl didn't react, just stared. Next stop was the church. He didn't wait for the Sunday crowd, just walked into the back office where the ledgers were kept. The reverend was gone. No one stopped him. He found the old record book stacked under 3 newer ones, blew the dust off, flipped through until the pages went yellow. There it was. A payment, dated 20 years back. 2 months after the wedding. Recipient, Sheriff W. Harlan. Note, for final settlement, LV. Signature, his own name. He ran his fingers over it. The pen marks were smooth. No hesitation. It was his handwriting. He didn't remember writing it. She stood behind him, didn't say a word. He flipped to the page before. No mention of Lenora. Flipped to the page after. Just more payments. Land transfers, baptisms. "This town erased her," he said. "Bought her silence." Mercy replied. He tore the page out. I folded it. Put it in his coat. They walked out together. On the steps of the church, the girl stopped. "She used to sit here," she said, "when they wouldn't let her in. Said the pews were too clean for dirt like her." He looked out across the street. The diner, the store, the world that moved on like she'd never existed. "I want them to remember her," he said. "They already do," Mercy said. "They just hope we won't." He didn't drive back right away. They sat in the truck for a long time. The paper in his pocket felt heavy, like it carried her breath. "She trusted you," the girl said finally, "until the day they took her." "She thought I betrayed her," he whispered. "She died thinking someone had." He started the engine. "They took her name. I'm taking it back. And if they fight, then they'll learn what silence sounds like when it breaks." The truck pulled onto the road again, gravel spitting out from under the tires. This time, she didn't look out of the window. She watched him, the way his jaw clenched, the way his hands gripped the wheel. She knew something had shifted. Not enough. Not yet. But it had started. They didn't speak again the whole ride home. They didn't have to. She didn't ask to stay. Just brought the cot in from the barn and dragged it next to the fireplace. The legs scraped across the floor like someone carving their name in the wood. He didn't argue, just watched from the table while she laid the folded dress across the cot, tucked the photo under the pillow, and sat. "Are you planning to sleep here?" he asked. She didn't answer. The fire popped. She pulled the blanket over her knees. "You don't belong here," he said. She closed her eyes. "I've been here longer than you." He didn't sleep that night, just sat in the chair, staring at the flames, listening to her breathe. By morning, she was already outside. He looked out the window and saw her boiling water over the pit, sleeves rolled to her elbows, feeding the hens like she'd done it every day since birth. He opened the door slowly. "Have you ever used a shovel?" she asked. "Plenty." "You remember where the porch ends?" He blinked. "What?" "My mama's ring's buried under there." He stepped onto the porch. "She wrapped it in my baby bonnet. Said it was too much memory to wear." He stared at the boards. "Why would she bury it?" "She said if anything ever happened to her and I found you, I should ask you to dig it up." He grabbed the shovel. She watched him from the steps. Didn't help, didn't speak. The dirt was harder than he remembered. The ground clung to the past. It took longer than it should have. Then the metal edge hit something soft. He dropped to his knees, brushed away the rest with his hands. It was there, wrapped tight in a yellowed cloth. He opened it. A small silver ring. No stone, just a thin band with a dent along one side. "This isn't mine," he said. "My ring was gold." "That's hers," she replied. "She traded yours for medicine." He stood slowly. "She never told me." "She told me everything." He held it between his fingers. Light caught the edge. There were initials carved inside. Not his, not hers. Just 3 letters he didn't recognize. She said it belonged to a woman before her, someone who never got to say goodbye. He looked up. "Why keep it?" "Because goodbye never came." He held the ring tighter. "She wore this only when she thought you'd show up." The wind moved through the yard. The hens clucked, restless. He looked down at the porch, at the shallow hole. "I didn't forget her," he said. "You just stopped remembering out loud." He walked back inside. She followed. He rinsed the ring in the sink. Let it sit in his palm. "She loved you," the girl said behind him. "I know." She died with her arms around a memory that never came back. He turned. "Why are you really here?" "I want her house back." He stared. "I don't want money, don't want pity. I want the dirt, the floorboards, the creaks in the walls. I want her breath in the curtains. I want her ghosts." He set the ring on the counter. "You think I owe you that?" "No," she said. "You owe it to her." He didn't move. She walked back to the cot, picked up the photo, hold it in both hands like scripture. "You said the fire was temperamental. Still is." He watched her. "She hummed at night. You remember that?" He nodded. "She used to tuck me in right there." She pointed at the corner. "Next to the stove," said the fire would keep away the wrong memories. He leaned against the sink. The ring still sat between them. "She wanted to be buried here," the girl said. "I thought she was." "Not properly." He looked down. "I didn't know she was gone." "But you felt it," she said. "Didn't you?" He didn't answer. She came closer, set the photo on the table. "She waited for you longer than anyone should have to." He looked at the picture again. The light in Lenora's face, the smile he hadn't seen in years. "I want to do it right," he said. "Then start by letting her stay." "You can stay in the room," he said. "Number I want the house." He met her eyes. "All of it." "She built it with her hands. I was born on that floor. My blood's in the cracks." He stared at her. "She's been here longer than you," Mercy said. "This was never yours to begin with." The fire behind them hissed. He picked up the ring. "Hold it out." She didn't take it, just stared at it like it might burn. "I'll give you the house," he said, "but not because I owe, because I remember." She nodded, then turned, walked to the back room, closed the door behind her. He sat down, ring in hand, the picture in front of him. This time, he didn't turn it over. She woke him before dawn. No words, just the front door swinging open and her boots already in the yard. He followed without asking. The lantern in his hand flickered against the cold. They passed the old fence line, crossed the sloping field. The grass was wet with dew, but her pace never slowed. She moved like she'd memorized each step long before she could walk. The well sat crooked, buried halfway in bramble, its stone rim dark with age. No bucket, no rope, just the opening, like a wound that never closed. "She screamed from here," Mercy said, stopping at the edge. He held the lantern up. The light barely touched the inside. It was deeper than he remembered, wider, hungrier. She said the wind carried her voice back to the house. He chuckled. quiet, disbelieving. She was alone, he said. Grief makes people hear things. She wasn't wrong. He looked down. It's just a hole. She didn't reply, only stepped closer. She used to call out your name, she whispered. Said the wind carried it farther than you ever could. He knelt, held the lantern directly over the mouth, listened. Silence. Then, faint, too faint to trust, a sound rose. Not wind, not water, a raw edge of something deeper. Did you hear that? He said. She nodded once. Another second passed. Then a hoarse, high-pitched cry lifted from below, like air caught in a broken pipe. A human shape, but stretched wrong, pained. He dropped the lantern. It clanged against the stone, tumbling into the dark. Sparks flickered, then vanished. What the hell was that? He said, stepping back. I told you, she never stopped screaming. He looked at her. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. You think she died down there? He asked. I think she tried to come back up. She reached into her coat, pulled out a thin coil of rope, tied it to the rusted post beside the well. You're not... She left something down there. I'm not letting you climb into that. I'm not asking. She tugged the knot tight, dropped the rope, then slipped one foot onto the rim. You think I'm going to stand here while you go down into that, he said. You stood by once before. Didn't stop them then either. He grabbed her wrist. You don't know what's down there. I know exactly what's down there. She pulled away, lowered herself into the dark, boots scraping stone. He leaned over the edge, hands gripping the rim. Mercy. I'm not her, she called back. But I'm close enough. The rope swayed, then held, then stilled. Minutes passed, too many. Then, I see something, he shouted back. What? Fabric, old. There's bones. He stared into the dark, heart pounding. There's a shoe, she called. A child's shoe. A pause. There's letters burned into it. Another pause. M.V. He staggered back. That was hers, he muttered. She had that pair when we met. Silence. Mercy? I'm coming up. The rope shifted again. Then her fingers appeared, then her arms, then her face. Dirt streaked her cheeks. Her hands were shaking. She sat on the grass, gasping. In her lap, a child's shoe, burned initials, cracked sole. She was down there, she whispered, all this time. He sat beside her. She didn't run, Mercy said. She was thrown. The shoe lay between them, small, innocent, silent. Why would they do this? He asked. She filed a complaint. He stared at her. That's what the widow said, she continued. She went to the sheriff. I tried to report something, said a man had been coming by, leaving things at the cabin, rope, matches, silver coins. He shook his head. No one ever told me. She went to town, Mercy said. I tried to speak up. That's why she died. He looked back toward the well. It stood still now, quiet as stone. They wanted her gone, she said. So they made it look like she left. He stared at the shoe. I could have come sooner, he said. But you didn't. I didn't know. You didn't ask. The sky above them turned gray. The world felt smaller. She was brave, Mercy said. Not stupid. She wouldn't have left me. She wouldn't have fallen. She didn't. They sat like that for a long time. Finally, he stood, picked up the shoe. She tried to climb back up. She whispered, I'm taking this to the mayor. They won't care. They will when I make them. He held the shoe like it weighed more than it should. I'll bury what's down there, she said. He turned. You sure? She deserves more than screams in a hole. He nodded. I walked back toward the cabin, and behind him, the well stayed silent. For the first time in years, the town looked smaller now. Same buildings, same signs, but the silence stretched wider. She walked a step ahead of him this time, eyes forward, chin up. She didn't need a map. Every inch of this place had been whispered to her in bedtime stories soaked with grief. He followed her through the churchyard, past the diner, straight to the post office. The bell above the door didn't ring. The widow was already behind the counter, folding papers that didn't matter. She didn't look up. We need to see it, Mercy said. The widow's hands paused, then resumed, slower. I told you everything I remembered, she said. There's more. The man stepped forward. You knew her. You saw her. You knew what happened and said nothing. The widow looked at him now. Her face was soft, sunken. I also kept what they tried to burn. She turned, walked into the back. The door creaked open. He heard a key turn, then another. She returned holding a small wooden box, locked, sealed, tied with 2 pieces of old wire. She set it on the counter between them. I couldn't stop them, she said. But I didn't forget her. She untied the wire, unlocked the latch, opened the lid. Inside, folded like a letter waiting for spring, was an envelope yellowed with time. She slid it forward. I never opened it, the widow whispered. Not once. Mercy took it with both hands, broke the seal. Inside, a birth certificate. Lenora Vale, mother, father unlisted. Date, April 9th, 2007. Place of birth, private residence. The ink had bled slightly, but the name at the bottom was written in perfect script. Mercy Vale. The man stared. She never told me she had you. She wasn't allowed, Mercy said. Not after the report. What report? She told the sheriff someone had been watching the cabin, leaving threats. When she refused to leave, she said someone started walking the ridge at night. She saw fire once, said she heard a child crying in the trees. The widow nodded. She came here shaking, told me she was going to give birth alone. I offered help. She said no one could see her, said if it was a boy, he'd be safe, but if it was a girl... She named me before I was born, Mercy said. Told the wind, told the trees, told every creek in that cabin. The man ran a hand over the certificate. She wrote this down, thinking she'd hand it to me one day. She cried when I handed her the form, the widow said. Cried like she already knew the name wouldn't survive the town. She said the baby had your eyes, Mercy whispered. I asked her once why she kept saying that. She said they were eyes that didn't flinch when the world got cruel. He blinked, said nothing. The widow reached into the box again, pulled out a small square cloth. Inside it was something heavier. She asked me to keep this too. A silver charm, heart-shaped, scratched. On the back, the letters L plus dash. The rest had been scraped off. She wore that when I was little, Mercy said. Said it came from a good year. Only one. The widow set the cloth down, folded her hands. I wanted to tell you, she said to the man, but every time I thought about it, something in town shifted. Men would stop speaking to me. Letters wouldn't arrive. They had eyes everywhere. She wasn't crazy, he said. She was hunted, the widow replied. He folded the birth certificate, slid it into his coat. She deserves to be known. She deserves to be believed, Mercy added. The widow touched her arm. She loved you, she said. To her last breath, she never spoke your name in anger. I don't deserve that, he muttered. No, the widow said, but the girl does. They left the post office without another word. The wind had picked up, a storm building somewhere far off. They walked past the diner. A man inside saw them and looked away. At the truck, Mercy hesitated. She was afraid I'd come into the world already broken, she said. She said she could feel it, like the air didn't want me to cry. He opened the door for her. You're not broken. She got in. Closed the door. He sat behind the wheel, hands tight on the leather. We have the truth now, he said. Mercy looked at him. Truth's just a shovel. It's what we do with it that matters. He put the truck in gear. The town faded behind them, but the past didn't. It sat between them on the seat, breathing. She stood in the center of the barn, holding the photo with both hands. The morning light came in sharp lines through the boards, catching the dust between them. Her boots didn't move. You were the last person she trusted, she said, and she died on your land. He didn't answer. She came here because she thought you'd keep her safe. He walked slowly into the barn, stopping just before the stall. The wood along the edge had dark marks in the grain, faded, permanent. I didn't know, he said quietly. You didn't ask. His hands dropped to his sides. Why didn't anyone tell me? She laughed, bitter and low. Because you were important. She wasn't. He looked down. The dirt had a patch near the far wall that stayed darker, no matter the season. The air in that spot always felt colder. She stepped into the stall. She came in here the night they came for her. I tried to hide. She was bleeding. He followed her. Slow. She slipped, Mercy said. Hit the corner hard, left a trail. He looked at the wall, a smear still faint against the wood. Rain had tried to erase it. Time had blurred the shape, but it was still there. I heard something that night, he said. I thought it was a coyote. It was her. He leaned on the post, closed his eyes. I remember the rain, he whispered, and rope. Someone was yelling. I didn't look. She didn't move. She screamed for you, Mercy said. Not once. Over and over. I was drunk, he said. Back porch. I heard voices, but I didn't think. You thought she left. Just like they wanted you to. His breath came harder. They dragged her out by her hair, she said. Neighbors heard. No one stopped them. Who did it? She never said. Only that she saw the badge flash before she passed out. He gripped the rail. Sheriff. She filed the complaint that morning. By nightfall, she was gone. He turned to face her. Why didn't you come sooner? I was 6. They left me alone in the cabin. No food, no fire. I hid under the bed until the widow found me. He looked down. Couldn't speak. She kept me quiet. Said the town wasn't ready for the truth. Said your name could still mean something if I stayed away. You would have buried it like everyone else. He stepped closer. That's not fair. It's true. He looked at the photo in her hands. She's smiling in that picture. Because she still believed in you. He took the photo from her. Hold it carefully. I remember this day. She brought me a pie with candle wax in the crust. Said it was good luck. She made that pie with flour she stole, Mercy said. The store had stopped selling to her. Why? They said she made people uncomfortable. He looked up at her. She wore her pain out loud, she said. Didn't dress it up for Sunday. He took a breath. Let it out. She deserved better. She deserved you. They stood there for a long time. Then she said, quieter now, this is where I found her scarf. He turned. What? After she disappeared, it was buried in the straw, still damp. I slept beside it for weeks. He knelt, ran a hand along the floorboards. This barn was supposed to be hers. We were going to raise chickens, fix the loft. She wanted kids. She had one. He looked at her. You. She nodded. I could have saved her. You could still say her name. He whispered it. Lenora. Louder. Lenora. She heard it, Mercy said. Wherever she is. He stood. I'm going to the courthouse. They won't believe you. Then I'll make them. He walked toward the door. She didn't follow, just stayed in the stall. Still, like a ghost waiting for something to finish. The barn behind him didn't feel like his anymore. It never had been. He didn't knock. Just walked straight into the mayor's office like the place owed him more than silence. The door slammed behind him. The mayor flinched. You got a minute? He asked. The mayor looked up mid-sip of something brown. He set the mug down slowly. Depends who's asking. You know who I am. I know your name. Not what you're after. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his coat and set it on the desk. The mayor didn't touch it. That's a land transfer, the man said. Filed 12 years ago. Cabin, acreage, barn. Signed by you, Sheriff Harlan, and Reverend Mills. I remember, the mayor said. Property was listed as abandoned. A woman lived there, Lenora Vale, my wife. The mayor stiffened. That wasn't clear at the time. She gave birth there, filed a complaint, went missing the same night. I don't know anything about that. She was buried behind the cabin. The mayor's hands dropped from the desk. His eyes flicked to the hallway. Don't call anyone, the man said. Just talk to me. Why now? Because her daughter's back. And she remembers everything. The mayor shook his head. She's stirring up things that don't need stirring. She's naming what you buried. The mayor stood. You think you're the first one to come through here asking questions. You think you're special because you regret something. I'm not here for regret. I'm here for answers. The mayor paced. We had pressure from the county, from investors. That land was rotting. She refused to sell. She was pregnant. She was alone. And she was difficult. The man stepped forward. She was erased. The mayor turned. You don't know what it was like. Everyone knew about her, the complaints. The preacher said she was unstable. The sheriff said she was dangerous. She filed a complaint because someone was watching her at night. She accused a good man. She was right. The mayor didn't reply. She said someone left rope at her door, the man said. Silver coins, threats. You knew. We didn't want trouble. You created it. The mayor's mouth tightened. That land's yours now. You got what you wanted. I wanted a home. She gave me one. You took it from her. The mayor looked down. What do you want me to say? I want you to say her name. The mayor didn't speak. Say it. Lenora, he whispered. She died on that land, screaming. The mayor sank into his chair. I want every document you have, the man said. Every paper with her name scratched out. You won't find much. Then, I'll know who did the scratching. The man left the office without another word. Clayton was leaning against the cruiser, badge dull under the porch light. He looked up slowly when he saw the man coming. You really want to do this? Clayton asked. Already started. She's not your daughter. She's everything her mother was, and she's not scared of you. Clayton laughed. I was a kid when it happened. You were a deputy. You signed the transfer. I signed what my father gave me. Then you signed away her life. Clayton stepped forward. You think I knew. I thought she ran off. I thought she snapped. She filed a report hours before they took her. She named the preacher, the sheriff, the mayor. You think anyone was going to let that stand? You were there. I didn't drag her. I didn't touch her. But you didn't stop it. Clayton didn't answer. She had a baby in that cabin. You knew that. I heard rumors. She buried the ring under the porch, left her name carved into the floor, and you sold the place to me like it never happened. Clayton looked away. We thought you could make it clean. No land's clean after blood. The silence settled between them. Then Clayton reached into his coat and pulled out a folder. What's that? My father's notes. Things he didn't file. Things he burned. I kept one copy. The man opened the folder. Inside, a photo of Lenora, blurry and close. A list of names. Hers circled. A note, complaint logged. Handle quietly. This town killed her, the man said. It didn't start with her, Clayton said. And it didn't end there. He tucked the folder into his coat and walked away. The church was quiet when he pushed the doors open. Reverend Mills stood at the altar arranging candles. Do you remember her? The preacher froze. Lenora Vale. I remember her. You blacked out her name from the baptism records. I was told. She came here with her daughter, asked for sanctuary. She wasn't married. She was bleeding. The preacher bowed his head. I couldn't help her. You didn't. She said the town had a sickness, that we used God like a curtain. She was right. The preacher lit the last candle. I prayed for her. She needed a witness, not a prayer. He stepped closer. You signed the deed, took her off the rolls, helped them sell her house. I thought she'd gone. She never left. The preacher sat in the front pew. Then I've got a penance to do. You start by telling people what you did. He turned and left. Back at the truck, Mercy waited, hands folded. He handed her the folder. She didn't open it. They paid to forget her, he said. Every last one. And now, they remember. Is that enough? No, he said. But it's louder than silence. She didn't wait for him to speak when they got back. Just walked straight into the cabin, past the coat rack, past the chair where he used to sit and read the paper, past the silence. She moved like she knew every inch of the place blind. The stove sat in the corner like it always had. Black iron rusted around the edges, quiet for years. She crouched in front of it, pulled open the small door, and reached inside with her bare hands. Careful, he said. It's filthy. I'm not scared of what's already burned, she replied. She scooped ash into an old tin basin. Slow, careful. Something clinked. She reached deeper, pulled out a folded corner of something. Scorched paper, another edge, then more. The air filled with the bitter smell of soot and something older. She laid the fragments on the table. With trembling fingers, she began to piece them together. He stepped closer and his breath caught. The rest of the wedding photo, burned at the corners, but whole enough to see. Her mother's smile, his arm around her waist, the same wildflowers in her hands. The day that never should have faded. I thought I lost this, he said. She saved it, Mercy said. Even when they came for her, she burned it only when she knew no one was coming. His jaw clenched. She never gave up on me. She waited too long, Mercy said. She reached into the ash again, pulled out something soft, wrapped in cloth. She opened it slowly. Inside was a lock of hair tied with twine, golden brown, faded with time. She kept this, Mercy whispered. Told me it was yours. Said I had the same color when I was little. He reached out, touched the strand. It felt unreal, like memory given form. She told me you'd come back for us, Mercy said. Said you were just caught up in something too big to name. But when it passed, you'd come walking through that door like nothing had changed. I should have, he said. I wanted to. She opened the last thing. A baby bracelet, blue thread wound through silver beads. The letters were worn, but he could still read them. Mercy. I wore this when I couldn't even speak, she said. She made it with what she had. Bent spoons. Thread from her apron. He sat down slowly, like the floor might give out. She didn't leave you, he said. They took her. Hide her. Made me believe she'd run. You were supposed to find us, she said. You never came. I didn't know where to look. She never stopped waiting. Every knock, every sound outside. She'd straighten her dress, fix her hair, tell me to sit quiet. Said if it was you, she wanted to look like she used to. His eyes burned. They made sure no one spoke her name. They signed her off like she was nothing. But she wasn't nothing to you, Mercy said. She was the only thing that felt real. She placed the photo, the hair, and the bracelet side by side on the table. She wanted you to find this, she said. She put it here for a reason. She knew I'd come back eventually. She hoped. That's different. He looked down at the bracelet. The thread had frayed on one end. The silver was dull, but it was still intact. I didn't forget her, he said. I just shut it off. Buried it. Same thing. No, he said louder. Forgetting is when you stop trying. I never stopped trying. You stopped showing up. He stared at the stove, ash still scattered on the floor. She deserved more, he said. She deserved you. The fire had long since gone cold, but the room felt hotter, like memory had weight, like it pressed in from the walls. He looked at Mercy. Really looked. Her mother's jaw. His eyes. The way her mouth didn't move unless it had to. I see her in you, he said. I don't need that. It's not a compliment. It's the truth. She stood. We're not finished. There's still more they kept from us. He nodded. And we'll find it. She turned, opened the back door. The sky was gray, clouded low. The air smelled like old rain. She didn't step outside, just stood there, holding the frame of the door. Do you think she forgives you? He swallowed. I don't know. She said forgiveness is for people who didn't know better. You knew. I was afraid, he said. So was she. And she still waited. The ash settled in the basin. The photo curled slightly at the edge. She kept everything that mattered, Mercy said, even when the world told her not to. He stood beside her, and for the first time they looked out at the same horizon. Not behind them, not ahead. Just now, together. He waited until night, waited until Mercy had fallen asleep on the cot beside the fire, the photo still clutched in her hand like a thread keeping her tied to something too thin to hold. He took the truck without headlights, parked behind the feed store, and walked the rest of the way. The sheriff's old station sat quiet on the edge of town, its roof bowed from years of neglect, but the lock on the side door still worked. He didn't knock, just kicked until the rust gave way. Inside, it smelled like mildew and old sweat. The walls were yellowed. Dust blanketed everything. The desk was still there, the filing cabinet dented from the inside like someone once tried to claw their way out. He lit the flashlight and moved quickly. The ledger was supposed to be gone. Clayton said he'd burned it years ago, but the drawer wasn't empty. Second one down. Locked. He jammed the end of the flashlight into the edge and snapped the cheap wood. It groaned, then gave. He pulled out a thick black book, leather cracked and edges curled. He blew off the dust. Cloud rose like ash. He opened it. Pages of names, dates, amounts, notes in shorthand. Most were small, fence disputes, crop thefts, quiet payouts to quiet people. Then halfway through, he saw it. A header scrawled in the same tight handwriting, only bigger. Red ink. Vale. His blood went cold. Under it, 3 names. Lenora Vale, compensated for silence. Terminated when complaint filed Monsieur Vale, infant. Unlisted, unknown outcome. Reassignment order, property. It's on 0047. Keep the husband out. He read it twice. Then again. At the bottom of the page, in red, a signature. His name. Not forged, not imitated. Hi. He staggered back. I didn't sign this, he he whispered, but the strokes were too perfect, the same way he signed checks. Letters curled the same. He remembered nothing. He ran a hand through his hair. The room felt smaller. He flipped back 3 pages. More names, more silences paid for, but none like this. He looked again at the line. Terminated when a complaint was filed. His stomach turned. They hadn't just let her die. They planned it, wrote it down, filed it like a receipt. He sat on the edge of the desk, ledger open on his knees. She must have known. Lenora, she must have seen the signatures. Maybe that's why she never told him. Maybe she thought he was in on it. He felt sick. The door creaked. He spun, flashlight ready. Mercy stood in the frame, hair pulled back, coat thrown over her nightclothes. "You followed me?" he asked. "I woke up. You were gone. Figured you were doing something stupid." He handed her the book without speaking. She read in silence. When she got to her mother's name, she didn't flinch. When she saw the note about herself, her fingers tightened. When she saw "keep the husband out," she looked at him. "This is why no one told you," she said. "They made it look like you were part of it." "I never saw this," he said. "I swear to God, Mercy, I never signed that page." "You were working for the county then, weren't you?" "Barely. They had me overseeing boundary maps, water usage. I wasn't—" "You were important enough." "It was convenient." She nodded once. "Same thing to men like that." He stood. "They used my name to kill her." "She died thinking you betrayed her." "I didn't." "She died thinking you did." He rubbed his face. "They filed her like a form, like garbage." "She wasn't garbage," Mercy said. "She was a wildfire. She scared them." She took the book and ripped the page clean out. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Proof," she said. "I'm not letting this stay buried. There might be more in there." "There is, but this one's mine." She folded the page, tucked it into her coat. Then she reached into the drawer again, pulled out a folder, flipped it open. Inside were photos, black and white, a porch, a man with his face blurred, a woman holding a baby. Her mother. "I've never seen this," she said. He looked at the photo. "I took that. I remember now. Before she gave birth, she made me stand on the fence and hold the camera still." Why blur his face? They wanted her story gone. Him too. She held the photo tight. "We take this public," he said. "Go to the county. News if we have to. They'll say it's fake. They won't when they see the ink, the ledger, the name. They'll come for you next. I'm not afraid of them. You were once. I'm not anymore." They walked out together, ledger under one arm, silence under the other. The door creaked shut behind them. They didn't speak on the ride. The ledger sat between them like a third passenger. Her fingers pressed tight to the folded page. His jaw clenched the whole way. She told him where to park, near the ridge, past the split pine, where the grass stopped growing. The creek below ran shallow, slow. She said this water remembers, Mercy said, even if no one else does. He followed her down the embankment, boots sliding on soft clay. The air smelled like iron, cold and sharp. "She used to bring me here," she said. The trees told the truth, said this place didn't lie to her. The man scanned the edge of the water. "Where?" She pointed to a bend where the creek curved inward, forming a pocket of stillness. "Right there," she said. "That's where the color changes every spring. Just one day, then it clears again." He looked closer. The rocks had a faint red tint, like something had bled and the land had learned to keep it. "She died. And I waited," Mercy said. "No one came. Not the widow, not the town, not you. I didn't know. But you felt it," she said. "Somewhere deep, you knew she was gone." He didn't answer. "She told me if anything happened, to bury her here, not near the cabin, not in town, here." "Why?" "She said places remember better than people." She stepped into the creek bed, dropped to her knees, and began to dig. He moved beside her. The soil gave way, like it had waited too long to be touched again. Their hands moved together, dirt piling behind them. Minutes passed, no words. Then he hit something. Wood. He cleared the rest by hand. A small cross, weathered but intact. A heart carved into the center. She wiped the mud from the front. She carved that herself, Mercy said. Sat on the porch with a kitchen knife. Said if no one else would mark her, she'd do it herself. He picked it up slowly. It was warm, or maybe his hands were just cold. "I don't want vengeance," she said. I don't want fire or names on headlines. He looked at her. I just want her name back. He gripped the cross tighter. You'll have it. You said that before. I didn't know then. Now I do. She nodded. I looked down at the hole. She was soft, she said, but not weak. You'd think people like that would bend easy, but she never did. I remember that. She used to hum while combing my hair, not songs, just sounds, like a prayer with no words. She hummed to me too, he said. They sat there a long time. The creek whispered around them. She believed people would do the right thing, Mercy said, that they'd come clean if they saw enough light. She was wrong. She was hopeful. He set the cross back into the dirt, pressed it upright. We make this right, he said. We start with this. She'd have liked that. I didn't bury her, he said, but I'll carry her now. She stood. She already knew you would. That's why she waited so long. He looked at the heart carved into the wood. LV, he whispered. She put herself into me, Mercy said. Now I'm putting her back into the world. They covered the cross gently. No stone, no flowers, just earth and hands. You think this is enough? He asked. It's not enough, she said. It's about to end. They turned from the creek, and for a moment the water behind them shimmered red. Not angry, not violent. Just remembered. The church was empty when they arrived. Dust settled on the pews, silent as the prayers that had never been said. The stained glass flickered with faint light, but the air inside was still, untouched. He stood at the front, just inside the door, waiting. Mercy stepped beside him. Her boots had been left behind in the truck. She was barefoot now, feet bare to the cold stone floor. She looked at the empty pews like they had never held a body, like they had never carried a prayer. This was where they made her disappear, he said, looking around, where they erased her name. Mercy didn't answer. She just walked toward the altar. He followed. They stopped beneath the high arch where the pulpit stood, worn from years of use. The candles around them were half spent, like the town's memory of her. Faint, fading. I'm tired of letting them pretend she never mattered, he said. He pulled the deed from his coat pocket, the one signed by the mayor, the sheriff, and the preacher, the one that had sealed her fate. Mercy took the deed from him, eyes sharp. She didn't need to read it. She knew every word, every letter. You don't need that anymore, she said. It never was mine. It is now, he said. She said it belonged to you. He raised his voice for the first time in years. I'm reading her name. He stood at the center of the church. The silence in the room thickened, hung on every word. Lenora Vale, he said, each syllable ringing like a bell. Her name. No more hiding. No more burying it in the past. It's here. It's real. Mercy stood beside him. She didn't flinch at the sound of her mother's name. She didn't hesitate, just nodded once like this was always meant to happen. I'm giving the land back, he said. The house, the cabin, it all belongs to her, to you. The town had already begun to gather, men in worn hats, women with scarves tied around their heads, children clutching their mother's skirts. They filed in, hesitating at first, as though the very walls themselves held secrets they weren't ready to hear. The preacher arrived last. His hands trembled when he saw Mercy standing at the front. She hadn't taken her eyes off him. The man stood by the altar, holding the deed between his hands, face grim. This is where we ended it, where we buried the truth. He turned to Mercy, but she never buried it. She reached into her coat, pulling out the forged wedding photo, the one they had made him believe was real, the one they had destroyed. She held it up. Her fingers trembled, but not with fear. She looked at it, then at the people watching her. They tried to burn her memory, she said. I tried to make her disappear. But you can't burn something that was already forgotten. This photo doesn't belong to me. She paused. It belonged to the lie. With a swift motion, she tore it in half. The edges flared as she held the pieces in her hand, then tossed them into the air. The fragments fluttered to the floor like ghosts escaping. I'm not who they wanted me to be, she said. I'm who she made me. She walked barefoot back toward the door, and they parted for her. The preacher's eyes followed her, but he didn't speak. No one did. The man followed her outside, but she didn't stop. They went back to the cabin, just the two of them. The town stayed behind, unsure whether to speak or to leave the dead where they belonged. Inside, Mercy moved through the house like she had never left it. The floor creaked beneath her feet. The walls breathed her mother's name in the air. She stood in the doorway, her hand resting on the old frame where Lenora had once stood. "Do you think she would have wanted this?" the man asked. Mercy looked at him, finally smiling, the first time she had in days. "She wanted you to find us," she said. "To remember, not to fix it, not to make it disappear. Just remember." She stepped inside. Her bare feet left prints on the floor as she moved to the hearth, the place where Lenora had sat for years, where she had dreamed and waited and burned the past into the walls. Her name was Mercy, the man said, standing in the doorway. "You should have been told that a long time ago." She reached down, pulled a piece of the wood from the pile, and placed it in the fire. It cracked, sending a flare of light into the dim room. Mercy looked at the man. "I don't want your pity. I want the truth." The fire crackled, and she stood over it for a moment, the flames casting shadows on her face. Then, with one last glance at him, she turned and walked through the cabin, like she'd never left, like it had always been hers.